quite a few times where it was a free kick, and there was others where I thought was pretty similar, and then no free. See, for it to be the same week in, week out. This one here is not a free kick for me. He's clearly ducked. He does this often. Surely the umpires know the players that do this. Anyway, rant over. I thought this one was quite interesting. It's probably the right call in the end. Dan Houston scrambling for the ball. He kicks it from outside the 9, but he's pushed as he does it, and it is under pressure. The umpire says he's outside the 9, so it's a free kick. And then Lohman gets the free kick, and I guess ball don't lie because he's unable to convert. Durana takes a mark inside the forward 50. He continues to play on and then dribbles the kick off the ground. And I can already hear Dunstall saying, "Kick a drop punt." My votes for the Brownlow of this round, I thought Will Ashcroft was the best on ground. I gave him the 3 votes. Zach Bailey, the 2, and Gideon Coleman, the 1. I thought the Pies were, they could have been a lot better. I don't think they had anyone that could have made it. And I feel like those 3 players from the Lions were the best on the ground. Moving on to the next game, the North Melbourne Kangaroos took on the Carlton Blues. And man, I thought this was going to be the dud game of the round, but I reckon this was the game of the round. This was awesome to watch. And Harry Sheasel with this goal right at the end to eventually get North Melbourne a win was such a crazy event. I didn't see North winning this many games this early on in the season, so they could be a bit of a dark horse, bit of a smoky. After Dersma takes the mark inside the forward 50, you can see he feigns to get the handball off, and his defender in Lewis Young steps over the mark, and he assumes that play on has been called. The umpire hasn't actually called it, so it's obviously not to play on, and he gives away a 50-metre penalty. After looking at the replay, I feel like the umpire probably should have just reset this and got both of them back into their position, because it probably was enough to almost be considered play on, but the umpire hasn't called it. So I think you should just reset them both back to where they were and then let him take his set shot then. I'm sure North would want this one back again to make it right. After Larky has the ball inside forward 50, he's obviously spent it before he's earned it. He passes it off to Dersma, who kicks it into the post. He tries to check side this instead of just doing a little pop kick. And yeah, I'd say they'd want to do that one all over. As O'Sullivan gets called for holding the ball, Jagger Smith picks the ball up, continues to play on, and then he doesn't hear Caleb Daniel, the smallest bloke on the field, sneak up behind him and lays a tackle on him, and it's another holding the ball call. I think this one here is another example of what the umpire has called or hasn't called. The nearest umpire hasn't called this a free kick, but there's an umpire who was apparently 100 metres away has somehow called this. He's the furthest away. It's probably not 100 metres, it'd be 50 metres, and he's given this a free kick for a high tackle. The umpire that's closest knows he's ducked into this, so he hasn't falled for it, and he hasn't paid a free kick because of that specifically, but the umpire that's further away can override it. I think that's got to change in the next year or two, surely, because that rule stinks. The umpire that's closest has control. He's seen what's happened. Just let it go. That, for me, that's holding the ball. That's not a free kick. I would like to know your opinion on this one, because I think Frankie Evans is probably a little harshly done by this one. You can see that he gets the ball pretty much at the same time McDonald does, and as Frankie Evans, he's clearly trying to get it out, but not entirely sure if he sort of hits it or he gets bumped at the same time that he taps it and gets called for insufficient intent, trying to keep the ball in. What do you think? Do you think that should have been a free kick, or should have that been a throw-in? As Paul Curtis lines up for goal, he's inside the centre square. He goes back, goes to the side to get that extra distance, but he just absolutely hits the ball in the belly, and you can see it's a complete floater and doesn't quite make the distance, but it's marked on the goal line. That one's a coach killer. Pitnet has punched this so far that when McGovern grabs the ball, he probably thinks it's a mark. It's gone a solid 40 metres, but he's just absolutely launched this out of midair. This one here was raised by the commentators, but I agree. I think this one is an extremely poor call from the umpire here, who's paid a higher on Jagger Smith. And as the call is a little bit late, Chera handballs the ball away just as the whistle's been blown, really. And the umpires call this play on to advantage, even though the ball has been tipped by North Melbourne. I feel like this is an extremely bad call. It should have been brought back. I thought this smother here from Stevens, while it was a fairly basic smother, was extremely important to get the Roos the win. Just thought it's worth mentioning in this video. Tom Powell had a pretty average shank from 25 metres out. You can see that he sort of just pokes at the ball rather than trying to kick through it. Not entirely sure why. The commentators are right. They say you wouldn't do that anywhere else on the field, so why do it here? When the Roos are inside their forward 50, somehow Wardlaw is all by himself. As he gets the ball, he must be seeing ghosts or seeing shadows, because you can see he sort of braces for impact, but there's no one around him, which gives Jagger Smith enough time to get to him and lay the smother. I think this will be a bit of a talking point this week. As you can see, Dersman goes up for the mark. His knee goes in the back of Wiedering's head, which causes him to eventually have concussion and miss the rest of the game. If they're playing next week, he'll also have to miss that game due to the concussion rule. So it'll be quite interesting to see what the AFL do. Let's hope they don't cause or change anything, that if a knee or whatever goes into the back of someone's head and causes a concussion, that you miss a week as well. I would hate to see that, because that is one of the best parts of our game, how these guys mark the ball. But with that being said, the way the AFL are currently managing the game, with people having injuries, whether it's intentional or not, do you think we'll start to see a decline in speckies which lead to concussions? Do you think people will stop doing it with the threat that they may potentially be sanctioned? What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear in the comments below. And for my Brownlow votes, this is probably going to be a lot different to what everyone else has said, but I feel like George Wardlaw in that fourth quarter just gave his absolutely everything, was absolutely pivotal to North getting the win. I feel like for that effort in the fourth quarter, he gets the 3 votes. LDU for the 2 votes, and then Mark Pitnet I thought was extremely good in the ruck. He was one of the main reasons Carlton had a chance, and for him, I give 1 vote. In the next game, we saw the Adelaide Crows take on the Fremantle Dockers, and this game was back and forth for pretty much the whole game, and this smother here right at the end by the captain, Alex Pearce, basically won the game right at the end for Fremantle. What an amazing effort, what an amazing smother. Unfortunately, my Crows weren't able to get the job done. I don't think they can blame the umpires this week, guys, come on. And I feel like Freo just played a lot better than I was expecting. I thought Crows were going to beat them by quite a bit. I was obviously proven wrong. But this smother here right at the end, what a courageous effort once you're completely gassed in the last 20 odd seconds to win your team the game. Now that is a captain's move. I probably get asked almost every week, what team do I go for? I do go for the Crows, and for me, I would be happy if Riley O'Brien never got a game again for the Crows. He had an absolute stinker. We've got a genuine, decent looking ruck in McAndrew, and this one here, pretty much you can say almost cost us the game. After Riley O'Brien gets a free kick, he goes back and just kicks it straight into Darcy, the man on the mark, the other ruck. And then Freo are able to go down to the other end of the oval and kick a goal to take the lead. Eventually, they obviously win by 2 points. Not saying it's directly on him, because there was plenty of other options that Crows could have won. But this one here just really hurts. Here's another example of what I meant by the Crows could have won this one. After Thilthorpe has a very nice chase down tackle, he's given a free kick. But for some reason, Ben Keys decides to take the kick on his left boot and misses. And I'm not guaranteed that Thilthorpe was going to kick the goal, but surely he's a better shot than what that was. And yeah, that's just another example of the Crows shooting themselves in the foot that night. Somebody get Borlase a map. After Dawson kicks the ball inside the forward 50, it looks like Alex Neil-Bullen's going to mark the ball. And from this angle, it actually did look like there was front-on contact. But watching the replay, the defender has nothing but eyes for the ball. He punches the ball and makes very minimal contact. So very well done to the umpire for not taking the easy call and just saying front-on contact. And even better to the Freo defender. Sorry, Freo fans, you'll have to tell me who that is. I can't quite see the number. But this was a very good defensive effort, and that is my defensive player of the week, I think. In turn, as the Crows had many shots to win the game, I feel like Freo did as well. after O'Meara had the ball only 10 to 15 metres out on a slight angle. He has a very easy set shot at goal and somehow shanks this to the right and goes through for a behind. At the end of the first quarter, Dudley had a chance to kick a goal or some sort of score after the siren had gone, and I'm not entirely sure why the umpire called this play on. I don't think he went off his line enough to be called play on, but the umpire did. It would have made the distance anyway, might have gone through for rush behind, but not entirely sure why this was called play on. And my votes went to 3 votes for Caleb Sarong. I thought he was very good in the midfield. He carved the Crows up, to be honest. James Worrell was one of the main reasons the Crows had any sort of chance at winning the game. His defensive marks, intercept marks, and his run off of that fullback, halfback was really important for the Crows. And then Andy Brayshaw gets the 1 vote for me as well. Now, for the next game, we saw the Richmond Tigers take on the Port Adelaide Power at the MCG. And from here, you can see Jason Horne-Francis has the ball, and there's no one in the forward 50 for Port Adelaide. It's only Richmond players. So he sort of moonwalks, as the commentators say, takes his time to set up another kick, tries to evade Grill, who has a very good defensive mindset. He doesn't fall for the fakes. And eventually Jason Horne-Francis just kicks it straight to the Richmond defenders. While some people would say that it's not a great play by Jason Horne-Francis, I don't think he had too many other options. What I wanted to highlight in this clip was the defensive pressure put on him by Grill. I thought that was extremely important for that turnover, and also a very good defensive play from someone who is only just coming into the professional scene. This is almost a double oddity after Gray kicks it into the man on the mark, who is Jason Horne-Francis. He gathers the ball and then is tackled, possibly dump tackle, but I feel like Jason Horne-Francis went down, so I think this is the right call. But to have a turnover go into a holding the ball call for him to get it back, that is strange. When Port Adelaide have it in their defensive 50, Bergman tries the evade on Steely Green, gives up the holding the ball free. Steely Green goes back, he has to kick it around the body and just completely shanks it and goes out of bounds on the full. Prestia had an absolute stinker from the pocket. Did this ball even come back in play at any point in time, or was that out the whole way through? Another week, another Rioli chase down tackle. I think Rioli has been nominated for Mark of the Year for this. If you watch the replay, you can actually see Lafau gets his hands on the ball first. The commentators and I guess some of the comments on Facebook that I've seen say this may be a contender for Mark of the Year. I don't know. Can you class that as Mark of the Year when it's not technically a mark? What do you think? In the end, Port Adelaide absolutely smashed Richmond, so no doubt they will get the votes. I thought Kane Farrell was probably the most important for Port Adelaide, especially in the first half. He was fairly quiet in the second half, so I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get the 3 votes. I thought Alirali was very good in the defensive half. He took a lot of intercept marks and was able to set Port up for the rebound. And then Zach Butters in the middle was also very good. In the next game, we saw the West Coast Eagles take on the Sydney Swans at Optus Stadium, and the West Coast Eagles fans were left wanting a lot more. In this first clip, you can see Chad Warner gave off the double fend. Very elusive, very rare.
When the Swans smell blood, this man here just a fend, thank you very much.
Heaney's also put himself in the Mark of the Year contender. I was a little bit concerned the way Harley Reid's held his ankle when he knows he's going to be taking a specky on him. Not entirely sure what he was doing there, but that could lead to something pretty bad. Luckily it wasn't. Anyway, let's focus on the awesome mark that Heaney had, and this is my Mark of the Week. After Heaney was half tackled, half bumped by Brock, you can see he just punches the ball away, and Callum Mills is just waiting for the umpire to blow the whistle, but it doesn't come. The umpire actually calls play on. I feel like this probably was halfway in between. I feel like it probably should have been called for holding the ball. No doubt you've already seen this pop up somewhere, but I feel like Harley Reid sometimes really hurts his teammates. After a free kick is given to Brodie Grundy for a ruck infringement, Harley Reid has the ball and he just throws it away to Heaney, half throws it onto the ground, and that is a very easy 50-metre penalty for the Sydney Swans. If he wants to be an elite player, he just has to do better than this. In a game that was all Sydney, you can expect to have all 3 votes go towards Sydney. 3 goes to Isaac Heaney, 2 for Brodie Grundy, and 1 to Tom Papley. And my Brownlow votes for this game, I gave 3 to Cozzy Pickett, 2 to Max Gawn, and 1 to Jack Steele. The next game saw the Western Bulldogs take on Essendon at Marvel Stadium with the roof open, and this was quite an interesting game. In the first quarter, the first half, it looked like the Dogs were probably going to be on track to win by 100 points or so, and then something switched. Essendon, just after the second half, they came alive and just played really well, which made it extremely hard for my Brownlow votes, which you'll see in just a minute. Now, this happened in the other game with Jagger Smith as well, where one player gets caught for holding the ball, the teammate plays onto advantage and then gets called for holding the ball himself. So it's 2 double holding the balls in 1 round of footy. That's happened twice. Surely that's an oddity. That wouldn't have happened too often. Again, a very good marking week. This one here from Durham, I don't think it got the love that it probably deserved, especially at this point in the game where Essendon were starting to make a comeback, albeit not enough. But this one, usually they would show multiple highlights or multiple angles. This one, that was the only one that I saw, and I felt like it deserved a little bit more attention. So here it is. And if you want a video that sort of just embodies what an oddity is, I think this one here by Pryor completely does that. You see he has the ball. He knows he can't rush it over unless there's immediate pressure from a tackler or someone. So he just stands there and waits for the tacklers to come to him, but they don't. I sort of just stand there for a little bit. This one here, I don't know what he could do or what the Dogs could do. Could have they come from behind around the goalpost and tackled him back into the play, then holding the ball unless he got rid of it? I don't know. But either way, this one was very odd. And although the Dogs had the complete dominance in the first half, I think Bontempelli had done enough by halftime to get the 3 votes, and the Dogs ended up winning. The third quarter, he only had 3 disposals, so that may harm his chances, but I just don't think there was anyone else better on the day. Archie Roberts tried his absolute guts out for the Bombers. He gets the 2 votes, and I thought Zach Merritt in the last quarter was extremely important. Although that wasn't quite enough for the Bombers to take the win, he had some really good smothers, some intercept possessions, and he was just on fire in that fourth quarter. So they're my 3-2-1 votes. Now, I probably won't be able to show this video, so I'm just going to leave it out. I'll just talk about it quickly. The Hawks and Geelong game, I think earlier I said the North and Carlton game was the best one, but I take that back now. The Hawks and Geelong game was absolutely awesome to watch. I tipped Geelong and it looked like it was going to win. Mabior Chol kicked 2 behinds, and then Jeremy Cameron couldn't quite make the distance. Mike Blitzarves had a shot as well and missed. It was just all over the place. The pressure was so extreme on this. There's going to be a heap of sore bodies tomorrow. That was easily the best game of the week. Unfortunately, I can't show the last 2 minutes. It will just get copyright flagged. But we'll move on to the next clips. Now, sorry you had to see this a million times. The next clip, you can see Mabior Chol has a set shot at goal and just completely shanks it. Now, there was some extremely tired bodies in this last quarter. You can see scores are tied. There's only 2 minutes 45 left. Jai Newcomb dropped an absolute sitter. And then Ginnivan completely slips over, giving Blitzarves a chance to get the Cats in front or kick it inside their forward 50. But he shanks it and kicks it out of bounds on the full. In the context of the game, I'm sure he'd want that kick back and he probably would have just belted it inside forward 50 and hopefully someone can run on. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out that way, and it leads to multiple turnovers in a row from both teams.
Small errors, great massive moments. Ginnivan tracks it back. Small errors, massive moments. Blitzarves sends it.
Out of the Hawks' defensive 50, you can see Battle just kicks the ball off the ground, goes straight to Holmes, and I thought it probably would have been 15 metres, but the umpire disagrees. He tries to take a shot at goal, and Impey smothers the ball. It bounces out. Blitzarves has a chance to score a point or a goal to take the lead, and he just belts the crap out of the ball, sends it into the third tier, and no score. I'm sure he'd want this kick back again. The ball just seems to carry with this kick inside the Cats for 50. Martin's able to catch the ball and run on towards goal. He gets a little shove, but not before he takes the kick. Ends up kicking a goal. The umpire's unsure if he's kicked it or not, and eventually they pay him the goal. This goal here early from Watson was amazing. You can see he gets the ball out of the ruck, just runs to his left-hand side, takes a shot at goal, and he does this fairly often. But this is an amazing kick. I'm sure Wilshire would like to have this one again, either straighten up and kick a goal or pass it off. Eventually, you can see he kicks a point, it hits the post, and this is the very first score of the game, but if this was a goal, it could have been a different result. And my Brownlow votes for this was Josh Ward for 3. I thought he was really good in the midfield. He had a lot of the footy and played a very important role for the Hawks' win. Bailey Smith was also very similar situation, but for the Cats. And then Jarman Impey off the back line for the Hawks was cutting through defence, and he had some very good intercept marks as well. And now my leaderboard at the moment, I've Bont and Max Gawn on 8 votes. Nick Dacos, Bailey Smith, Cozzy Pickett all on 7. So it is a fairly close race, at least for my votes here. So you can see a lot of people do have Nick Dacos in first, but I think Bont's had a really good start to the year. If he can stay healthy, I have a great shot. And Max Gawn, I think he's a bit of a smoky there at the moment. Don't think too many people will be paying attention, but he's playing some really good footy. I'm not sure if that's with the new ruck rules, but he is playing an extremely important role for Melbourne at the moment. And anyway, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. This week's code word is generate. Also, if you made it all the way to the end of the video and you're not subscribed, surely you have to subscribe now. This video is 25 minutes long. That's crazy. That is the longest video I've ever done, pushing into 26 minutes now. But thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, a comment. It helps push it out to more people. And I'm trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by grand final day. So let's make it happen. Share it around and let's share the love. Thanks for watching.